Hello, my name is Petra Nordqvist. I'm Professor of Sociology at the University of Manchester and co-director of the Morgan Centre. And today I will be talking about the new kinship, which ties into my own research on kinship and donor conception. Now, when we talk about the new kinship, we need to understand something about what old kinship might look like. So we're referring here to popular assumptions about family life. Now, when we think about the family, we often assume that we're talking about the nuclear family, a heterosexual married couple with genetically related children. When we talk about kinship or how people are related, we also often assume that we're thinking about people who are genetically related to one another, at least in Euro-American societies. That's what we tend to think about. Now, the introduction of the new kinship challenges these assumptions in many ways. What then is the new kinship? It's a kinship that emerges in the wake of the so-called new reproductive technologies, NRTs, or nowadays they're more often referred to as assisted reproductive technologies, so ARTs. So these are medical technologies that are developed to assist human reproduction. In vitro fertilization, or IVF, is one of the key technologies in this development, and the first baby was born using IVF in 1978 in Oldham, near Manchester in the UK. And since then, we have seen a huge plethora of technologies and practices emerge. So we have a range of medical technologies now. We have IVF, but we also have intrauterine insemination. We have intracytoplasmic sperm injection, and we have different forms of vitrification, which allows us to freeze egg, sperms, and embryos. This has given rise to a range of practices in terms of third-party reproduction. So we see sperm donation, egg donation, embryo donation, and surrogacy, which can involve, but doesn't necessarily have to involve, egg donation. We also have more recent ARTs, such as mitochondrial donation, and womb transplant. Now, the use of these technologies is growing fast. So the Human Fertilization Embryology Authority, or the HFEA, estimated that over 1.3 million IVF cycles had been performed since 1991 in the UK, which is when records began. So worldwide, it was estimated that between 2008 and 2010, over 4 million cycles of IVF were initiated, with over 1 million babies born as a result. The rise in numbers can also be seen in terms of the number of egg donor cycles that are now used, and also the number of sperm donor cycles that are used. So it is estimated that between 1991 and 2020, more than 70,000 children has been born using some form of gamete donation. And the users in the UK, the biggest users of these technologies, are single women, heterosexual couples, and same-sex couples. Now, third-party conception, and particularly the use of third-party gametes, for example, raises important questions about family and kinship. And they, in turn, raise very important questions for law, culture, and society. And I'm going to finish by raising some of these questions for you. So the new kinship then raises questions for law in terms of what technologies should be allowed, who can have access to these, who counts as a parent and why. When you, for example, have an egg donor involved, who is their genetic parent? What access should a child have to information about their donor? Does that person matter to them? And of course, what law says ties in with questions raised for society. What is a family? Who counts as a family and why? What is kinship? What is relatedness and why? And what types of family making do we support? What types of family making do we discourage or even prohibit as societies? They also raise questions in personal life. So how to choose a donor, for example. Should it be someone you know, or is it better to have someone you don't know? Do you tell other people that a donor was involved in making your child? And does the child themselves need to know that they are donor conceived? So these are just some of the many, many interesting questions raised by the new kinship. Thank you very much for listening.